to the sixth session of the Rapid series, wherein we discuss all the current affairs which are important and we discuss it in a very concise manner, removing all the clutter and all that is not required. So let's begin with the session. The first one is the review of seventh schedule, which is recommended by N.K. Singh. The 15th Finance Commission Chairman N.K. Singh has recommended that the seventh schedule, which is mentioned in our constitution, that needs review. Now, what is seventh schedule? Okay, the news is only this much, but since it was suggested by an eminent personality, so this particular subject, the underlying topic, becomes important. So, what is seventh schedule? And the related Article 246. So, Article 246 confers the legislative powers on Parliament and the state. So, there is a particular division of different subjects between the center and the state, and the concurrent list, which is to be handled by both depending on situation. So the schedule list, the seventh schedule contains that division into three sections: the union list, the state list, and the concurrent list, where they have the legislative power to make rules, to make acts. Okay, so this is about the seventh schedule, and Article 246 has that provision for distribution as per the seventh schedule. So this is about the news. And then sometimes UPSC also asks कि किस commission ने कौन सा recommendation दिया about certain political fact, political phenomenon. For example, something was asked on the recommendation of center-state relationship, and it was asked that which commission recommended this, something like that in the 2019 prelims, I think. So in that regard, I think it becomes important to also see what different committees have to say related to the seventh schedule. Sarkaria Commission was of the view that there was no such exclusive or compartmentalized demarcation between what is of national interest and what is of local concern. So they are nothing exclusively national or exclusively local. So it is more of gray area. So the concurrent list, is more of the gray area, which is difficult to be classified as completely national or completely local, and so they are put into the gray area. But it cannot be said that yes, they are completely one particular category, and that is why this gray area column was created. So that was the view of Sarkaria Commission. Another famous commission is the Panchayati Commission. So here this commission has to say that only those subjects need to be transferred in the concurrent list which are central to achieving demonstrable national interest. So only when some real great national interest is involved, then only transfer those subjects to the concurrent list. Otherwise, states should have the say. Or otherwise, whatever is the discrimination already given, or whatever is the demarcation already given, that should follow. So these are the two recommendations of the two important committees regarding seventh schedule. Then the next topic is the 25th year of enactment of PESA. So PESA, as we all know, PESA Act is Panchayat extension to the scheduled areas. So this act was enacted in 1996, and in 2021 it has reached its 25th year, and so this becomes important. So basically this act was came into force, and the origin goes back to the recommendation of Dilip Singh Bhuria committee. So this is important. Dilip Singh Bhuria committee recommended of having such an act. So what it does, and what is the purpose of this act is Article 243M of the Constitution exempts the fifth schedule areas from ninth part of the Constitution, but Parliament is empowered to extend the provision. So the fifth schedule areas are there. So a part ninth are there, which is related to Parliament, which is related to the Panchayati Raj. But this part 9 is not to be extended to fifth schedule. That is mentioned in Article 243M. But still, Parliament can extend it. And under this particular power, this act was passed because Parliament can extend it. Parliament is empowered to extend it if required. And so Parliament enacted this to extend the part 9th of the Constitution, which relates to Panchayati Raj, to the fifth schedule areas. So this is the concept behind it. So Parliament exercised this power and passed this PESA Act, and this Act completed 25 years. So it extends the provisions of Panchayati Raj, which is in Part 9 of the Constitution, to the fifth schedule areas of 10 states under Clause 1, and the related article here is Article 244. So the related article is 244, which is related to PESA Act, and 10 states are such which come under the category of fifth schedule. Okay, so this is important. Then another related news is that one day national conference was organized to commemorate 25th year of enactment of PESA, and that is why this is the context, this is the news, and this is the underlying articles and underlying statutory provisions which are important that you need to know. And the nodal ministry for the implementation of this act is the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Next is digital sovereignty. Sometimes UPSC also asks some definition based questions, and so this becomes important because at Sydney dialogue recently, Prime Minister said that digital age is raising new questions on sovereignty, governance, ethics, rights, and law. So since this term was mentioned at the Sydney dialogue, so what this term means should be known to you. So it is the ability to have control over one's own digital destiny. So it's like you should have indigenous technologies, like for example हम काफ़ी जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक चिप्स हैं और मोबाइल फोन्स हैं हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं, वी इम्पोर्ट इट फ्रॉम चाइना, and we don't know what kind of equipments they are using. They can even use that equipment to track us or to extract some information from the countries or from the people of the countries where they are exporting their equipments. And that is why we need to have more of indigenously manufactured things or technology, so that we are not vulnerable to any external technologies or any underlying or hidden technologies used in those equipments. So that is just one example. So we can decide our own digital destiny, the data, hardware, software that one relies on and creates. So it's like self-reliability for digital technology that will help us to decide our destiny, because we will not be dependent on anyone. So sovereignty means what? It means to take our self-interest, to keep our self-interest at the foremost point as the priority, and not to be affected by the other influences and other global force or pressure. So that is why digital sovereignty is in news. So it is a right of a state to govern its network to serve its national interest, the most important of which are security, privacy, and commerce. So basically, to have a safe internet, to have a safe digital economy is digital sovereignty. And for a state to be able to do that is digital sovereignty. Next is Vayo Naman program. This program is related to the elderly care. So it was organized by Ministry of Social and Empowerment, which is the nodal ministry for elderly related schemes. So on the occasion of International Day of Older Person, which is celebrated on 1st of October, this particular program was organized. And other related things that were launched or that were related to that particular incident, that particular day, that is International Day of Older Person, is SAGE, which is Senior Care Aging Growth Engine. That is a portal to encourage entrepreneurs in the area of elderly care. So it helps or it incentivizes people or those basically like in the startups. So they are encouraged to have their startups or have built their technological ideas around something which can help the old age people, or which can help the government to provide services to the old age people. So for that, SAGE scheme was launched. Elderly Helpline was launched. Then Sacred is another program which is Senior Able Citizen for Re-employment in Dignity. So there are many old age people, like those who have reached 65 or 62 years, which is the normal age of retirement. लेकिन retirement के बाद भी they have enough skill, they have enough maturity, and they have enough experience which they can utilize, and so that skill needs to be mapped so that they can be given employment. As long as their health guarantees, they can still be employed, so that they don't feel alienated, they don't feel less important. So and that is also good for the economy and for the country at large. So this is the portal that connect the senior citizen with the job providers in the private sector. So that will help them to get the job based on their skill and experience. So that is sacred. One more term that you need to know is palliative care. Palliative care, sometimes again UPSC can ask what is this term, what does this term mean, and they can give you 4 options which will describe that term. So palliative care is a human right, a moral imperative of all health systems. So that is a interpretation by WHO. So it basically means care for the elderly. NSE program, as the name suggests, was launched by National Stock Exchange, and it is related to corporate governance. So corporate governance का कंपनीज एक्ट में एक मिनिमम थ्रेशोल्ड है कि सभी कंपनीज को इतना तो कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस रखना है, ठीक है. लेकिन वॉलेंटरली अब क्या हुआ है, अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस NSE प्रोग्राम, वॉलेंटरली कंपनीज आर एनकरेज कि आप उससे एक लेवल हायर एक स्टैंडर्ड हायर अपना कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस बना सकते हैं और सर्टिफिकेट ले सकते हैं इफ यू वांट। ठीक है, तो ये वॉलेंटरी है, दैट इज नॉट मैंडेटरी। कंपनीज एक्ट में जो कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस के लिए कहा गया है दैट इज statutorily required and binding, but here it is voluntary. So, NSE Prime is a framework that prescribes higher standards of corporate governance for the listed companies than those required by the other regulation. ठीक है, तो regulations के हिसाब से अगर आपको इस लेवल तक आना है corporate governance में, तो NSE Prime बोलता है कि आप इस लेवल तक आओ। अब है कि कंपनीज क्यों चाहेंगी और हायर लेवल, जितना ये लेवल है वो भी कोई कंपनीज नहीं अचीव कर पा रही, देन हाउ एंड व्हाई विल दे कम टू दिस लेवल? दैट इज बिकॉज this will enable them to have a better reputation, goodwill in the market, more acceptance by the clients and customers, and more importantly it will enable the investors to identify companies that have voluntarily signed up. तो अब इन्वेस्टर्स को भी पता होगा कि ये अगर दो कंपनीज है, इस कंपनीज ने यहाँ तक का अचीवमेंट किया हुआ है कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस में, बट ये कंपनी ने यहाँ तक का किया हुआ है यूजिंग एनएससी प्राइम. So investor will prefer this company because there is less probability of any scam or any misgovernance in this company because it has higher standards of corporate governance. And that is why investors can identify which company to rely upon. And that is why company will also be incentivized to take this particular NSE prime standard so as to woo more and more investors. So that is the whole purpose. So it will raise the bar for corporate governance and standards in India. Okay, so that was about NSE prime, what it is about corporate governance, a standard higher, encourage the investors, and so it will incentivize the companies to take this standard. Next is ULIP Hackathon. So Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, has launched this Unified Logistic Interface Platforms Hackathon. So this ULIP Hackathon, most important point is related to logistics. Okay, so logistics has a huge impact on the overall production process in the country. It takes almost, I think, 14% of the GDP, which is way more than what it is in the other countries. So it is way below the global benchmark. So that is why this hackathon was organized, and it was organized by Niti Aayog and Atal Innovation Mission and supported by others to crowdsource ideas. So any hackathon, any particular hackathon. So you must have heard about hackathons previously also, but they were in different fields. So basically, it is about crowdsourcing ideas. The participants will be asked to come up with ideas, and those with the best idea, best product, best innovation will get the prize. So crowdsource ideas which will benefit the logistic industry specifically, and it will so that is that so yes, I think पहले slide का आ गया, ignore these points. So this is it about this news, ULIP hackathon. So it is organized by Niti Aayog and Atal Innovation and supported by the others to crowdsource ideas which will benefit the logistics industry. So this was about ULIP hackathon, and this is it for today's session also. We'll meet in our next session with a set of 5 new topics, and till then, keep studying and all the very best.